Commissioner, welcome back to the program. You said you received a lot of messages asking you to oppose the Lieutenant Governor's proposed ban on THC. Who is asking you to come out against it?
Well, of course, 8,000 vape shops across the state of Texas. It would be detrimental to their businesses. But we have 8,000 businesses selling this THC product, and it's the same thing as marijuana. Basically, we have recreational marijuana in Texas right now. No one just wants to admit it. What has happened when I wrote the rules for the hemp law, a couple of synthetics didn't exist, Delta 8, Delta 9. So we wrote it for the existing products, which was hemp and THC marijuana. These new products have come out and they have the exact same effect as full marijuana. But the legislation doesn't address them because they didn't exist at the time the legislation was written. So what we have now, we've got 8,000 of these shops across Texas selling this product. And it's not, I'll just say this, it's not a dangerous product, but it comes in the form of vape pens, gummies. You can buy the flower buds. So to make my point, you've got these gummies in the pockets of second and third graders at school, and it's perfectly legal. So, we don't need that. So I'm sure glad that Dan Patrick wants to address this. We've got to come in and have, at a minimum, an age limit on who can buy this product. And maybe more than that. We'll see once we have the testimony in committee.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. The legislature obviously did not approve recreational marijuana in Texas, but why not just put stricter rules on this rather than an outright ban that might impact these 8,000 shops and businesses across the state? Why not require, photo ID to show, how old you are before you are able to purchase these things?
Well, and that's I'm glad we're having the hearings, and I think that'll all come out. We'll hear the pros and the cons, and we're pro-business, especially the Republican Party, but we also want to protect our youth. I will say these THC products, even though that they may be illegal and may be banned, they're not near as dangerous as some of the prescription drugs that we already have on the market. Oxycontin, hydrocodone, fentanyl. You can get prescription for those. THC has none of the terrible effects that some of those drugs have. So I think that will all come out in the hearing. We'll see where we are. I'm against recreational marijuana, but I do support expanding medicinal uses. If it can help somebody, let's help them. I just want to make sure we don't go too far and limit the true medical use of this compound.
I want to ask about medical in a moment, but just to make sure I'm clear on this, you wrote in your opinion piece the other day that you support the Lieutenant Governor's proposed ban on these THC products, these synthetics that are out there. But in the conversation here, it sounds like you want to wait and see what comes out in the testimony. Where are you exactly on this? Do you support a full ban on any of these low-level THC products?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do. I am against recreational marijuana, and that's basically what these products are. Now, if there's some way and I don't know that there's some way that through this legislative process, through the hearings, through testimony, we find out something different, well, we'll look at that. I'm keeping an open mind as we go through this process. But the process I certainly agree with. I'm glad we're doing it. We do need some regulation on this. A total ban, we'll find out when we get the testimony.
Well, wouldn't just banning it, though, push it underground? I mean, shouldn't the state, keep some regulation on this to at least bring in some revenue and more tightly control it?
Well, that's the point of having the hearings. You just made my point for me. We don't, which is worse, completely banning it and having it underground in the black market, or having some kind of regulation over it. So we'll work through that. We'll have hearings in the House. We'll have hearings in the Senate. It'll be debated on the Senate floor, the House floor. And ultimately, if it gets to the governor's desk, he can decide if he, wants to make it law or not.
And just for my own clarification, Commissioner, any idea how many farmers, I know you know it, but how many farmers grow hemp, and would a ban impact them at all?
Well, we went from about 1,600 licensed growers. I think we have now 456. So it's waning. But the hemp growing business is taking off. We're moving away from these CBD products to industrial hemp. big manufacturing processing facility built in Wichita Falls. They contracted several thousand acres of industrial hemp, fiber hemp, to make rope and canvas and building products. Doesn't have anything to do with THC. And there's a big demand for it. People want to get away from synthetics and go to more natural products, and hemp and of course cotton fulfills that role.
Let's talk about medical marijuana for a moment. You've been a huge supporter of that, but the lawmakers in Austin have been hesitant, to say the least, to add more illnesses to that list on the patients who can access medical marijuana. What's the holdup there? Why do you think there's such hesitation for Texas legislators to put more people on that list, more patients who can't get any relief from pharmaceuticals?
Well, actually, they've been pretty good about it. Each session, they take another bite of the elephant. They add this, they add that. It's pretty extensive list. My position is just leave that up to the doctor to prescribe for his patient, and get the bureaucrats and the legislators out of the medical marijuana business, and leave that up to the doctors to decide if it will cure an illness or at least reduce the symptoms. I think that's where we should be. I think that's where we're headed. I think we'll finally get there. We've got so many products that have been approved for medicinal use for different ailments. They might as well just open it up and say, let the physician decide.
Have you spoken to your colleagues, former colleagues over there in the House about that?
Oh yeah, we speak quite often because I've been pretty vocal on it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's switch off to water here. Let me get down to this part of it. Last time you and I spoke, Commissioner, we were talking about water and the need for new reservoirs, new ways to capture rainwater, et cetera, in the state to keep up with the growing population. What do you think the state legislature is actually going to do this session?
I'm looking forward. I think we'll actually get something done. I think it'll be led by Senator Perry in the Senate. I think the Senate's going to lead on this. We've got to, number one, we've got to tackle infrastructure. We can't waste our water anymore. Our cities waste 30% of it. Some of our irrigation districts are wasting 40% of it. So that's an easy fix. So we just need to get leaky pipes fixed. Then we need to talk about long-term fixes, like you said, lakes and reservoirs. Those take 40, 50, 70 years. So it's not going to help us in the immediate short term. But rainwater harvesting, desal, water smart plants, there's a lot of things we can do in the short term that will help alleviate our water shortage. We still have over 1,000 people moving into Texas every day. And the problem is they don't bring any water with them. So we've got to change the way we're managing our water supply.
Last session, lawmakers put some seed money down to grow the water supply here in Texas. What's on your wish list? So what is the one or two things that you think that your former colleagues must do over the next 140 days?
Well, I hope that they'll relook at that and designate more money for infrastructure, fixing the leaky pipes. That's number one. That's top of the list by far. I hope they'll go to the Texas Water Development Board. We have a 50-year plan. It needs to be updated. They need to update it, kind of like we did the old NAFTA plan. It's time to. It was good. It's a good plan. It's a 50-year plan, but it's about 30 years old. So we need to take a look at that again and modernize it. They've done a few things, but I think we need a deeper dive in our long-range water planning.
Do you think lawmakers realize how paramount this is right now?
Well, I think they're starting to. We've lost an entire industry, a sugarcane industry in Texas. Our last processing plant closed in South Texas. We've had to push out 6,000 acres of citrus, no water, down in the valley. Our valley growers usually grow 4 to 5, sometimes even 6 crops of vegetables. They had enough water to grow 1 crop, so they're going out of business. Lake Falcon and Amistad, who the cities up and down the Rio Grande get their water, they're down to like 13% and 20%. So it's getting a lot of attention. I think now's the time.
Besides water, what else are you watching for in the legislature this session? What should we be watching for?
Well, and on the agriculture end of it, I want to make sure that we finally stop our enemies from buying any more farmland, like China buying farmland next to our military bases. I'm hopefully we can get that through. I want, obvious things, secure the border. We've got infrastructure problems. There's a whole list, long list of things that still need to be done. School choices is still at the top of the list, which I fully support. So depending on how the speakership turns out, which we'll know in a few days, we'll see how that all progresses. We have a good chance to do a lot of good things for the citizens of Texas in this next legislative session.
Are you supporting anyone for Speaker of the House?
I haven't really weighed into it. That's an internal decision amongst 150 members. Of course, I lean towards the upholding the Republican caucus rules. I do believe that the Speaker of the House should be elected by Republicans and not put in place by Democrats, especially when they're in the minority. So I'm hoping that the Republicans will come together behind one candidate and select the speaker in that manner.
And then last thing, just want to follow up with something I asked you last time too. Are you still working with the Trump transition team?
I am. Yep. Talked to them this week. Still working with them. We're helping them find good people to put in place. Absolutely.
Have they asked you to take a job in DC?
I've been offered some. I haven't taken any. So we're still in negotiations on that.
What kind of job would you want in DC?
Well, apparently I haven't found one yet. So we're, kind of keeping that under wraps. I don't want to be speaking out on the things that should be kept in the transition team meetings.
Sure. But they have expressed interest in having you join?
Oh, yes. Yeah, they have.
Commissioner, it's always good to see you. I appreciate the time, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir.